And now, you telling me to look in the mirror. The difference between me and you is, I was forced. You was in the streets by choice. I was in the streets because where I come from, they don't teach you the things that privileged families teach you. So yes, I have been disloyal.
Where he comes from, nobody sits you down and teaches you the game the way privileged families do. So when he said, yeah, I've been disloyal, that wasn't just talk. That was a confession with weight behind it. Now here's where things get serious. J. Prince just dropped a warning that could seriously shake up Finesse 2X's entire career, and somehow not enough people are really talking about it. This isn't just industry gossip. This situation ties into one of the riskiest deals in hip-hop right now, and it's now creating tension with one of Houston's most powerful street families. You already know who J. Prince Sr. is, a certified legend. The man who built Rap-A-Lot from the ground up in Houston, guiding artists like Scarface, the Ghetto Boys, and a whole wave of Southern talent who came up showing respect. Now fast forward to today, and his son, J. Prince Jr., the head of Mob Ties Records, is publicly clashing with one of Memphis's hottest names in recent years. Finesse 2X didn't hold anything back. He went straight online, called out the entire Prince family, got emotional on camera, and made it crystal clear he wants out. And this isn't just internet noise anymore. This is getting real, fast. But here's the part people keep skipping over. Who actually started this, how deep it really goes, and why Finesse might have just made a move he can't undo. To really understand it, you've got to rewind. Before the tension, before the headlines, you need to know who Ricky Hampton really is, because his story is one of the most raw and unfiltered in hip-hop right now. Skip that, and you miss why this situation hits so hard. Finesse 2X was born June 10, 1992, in Memphis, Tennessee, a city known for producing gritty, authentic voices. Memphis doesn't create soft personalities, and that environment played a huge role in shaping him.
Now, you telling me to look in the mirror. The difference between me and you is, I was forced. You was in the streets by choice. I was in the streets by force. So everything that you got to say about me, I'm gonna man up to it. Because where I come from, they don't teach you the things that privileged families teach you. So yes, I have been disloyal.
Memphis built Finesse into who he is today. That city taught him survival, hustle, and how to turn nothing into something real. But that same environment came with serious consequences. Back in 2010, at just 18 years old, Ricky Hampton was hit with 2 major robbery charges and ended up facing a long sentence, 8 years behind bars. 8 years is heavy for anybody, especially that young. Most people can't even imagine how that kind of time shifts your mindset. He ended up serving around 6 years and was released in July 2016. And instead of slowing down, he went straight toward music. By 2017, he dropped his mixtape, Hustle and Flow, and his name finally started buzzing. But just when things looked like they were picking up, everything flipped again. In July 2017, during a nightclub performance in Little Rock, Arkansas, chaos broke out after loud sounds were reported nearby. The next day, authorities found him in Birmingham, Alabama. Reports say that weeks earlier, in Forest City, Arkansas, he was involved in a heated situation where a weapon was fired toward a vehicle after an argument. He later pled guilty to being a felon in possession of a firearm, and by December 2018, he was sentenced to another 5 years in federal prison. That's 5 more years after already doing 6, a long, tough road by any standard. He was finally released on July 1st, 2022, and that's where this whole story really starts to unfold. July 1st, 2022, Finesse 2X is back outside. No major label, no big backing, no safety net, just raw talent, hunger, and a past that shaped him. But the moment he stepped out, something unexpected happened. His music had already been gaining traction without him. People were still streaming his older tracks, and his name never really disappeared. The streets didn't forget, and more importantly, the right people were watching. One of those people? J. Prince Jr., CEO of Mob Ties Records and son of J. Prince. By that point, Mob Ties was far from small. Jr. had built it into a serious operation with a distribution deal lined up through Atlantic Records and strong connections with Bread Gang Entertainment. He carried that same Houston mindset, sharp instincts, big vision, and calculated moves. So what did he do? He made a bold play. He sent a private jet to pick Finesse up on his very first day out and flew him straight to Houston. That's not normal. That's a statement. At the time, Finesse saw it as real support, like somebody genuinely believed in him and wanted to see him win. By October, everything was official. He signed with Mob Ties Records, with Atlantic handling distribution and Bread Gang involved. A powerful setup with major industry backing, and from the outside, it looked like everything was lining up perfectly. Then, Back End dropped and started making serious noise. TikTok picked it up, the buzz exploded, and the track even hit the Billboard Hot 100. Then came collaborations with Gucci Mane, plus features with Moneybagg Yo and Lil Baby on the 90 Days mixtape in December 2022. Everything felt like it was building toward a major breakout. But here's the part nobody really talks about. Behind the cameras and celebration, there's always business moving quietly. Private jets, studio time, music videos, promo, that's not free. It's usually recoupable, meaning it comes out of your earnings before you ever see real money. And if things don't perform the way the label expects, you can actually end up owing within your own deal. Finesse later admitted he didn't fully understand that at first. What looked like support, like that private jet, was actually part of the cost tied to his deal. Now think about this clearly, because this is where opinions start flying without full context. From 2022 to 2026, that's 4 years under Mob Ties. Only 2 major projects dropped. The 90 Days mixtape in 2022, and then his debut album Art of War in November 2024. But Art of War didn't land the way people expected. It didn't show up strong on major Billboard charts. For an artist who had already proven he could generate buzz, with backing from Atlantic and Mob Ties, the album kinda came and went without making a huge impact. From Finesse's perspective, that's not on him. He showed up, recorded, and delivered the music. But if the label isn't pushing, no serious promo, no ad budget, no radio support, no rollout, even good music can disappear. Without that machine behind you, tracks don't reach their full potential. Now on the flip side, J. Prince Jr.'s camp tells a completely different story. And to be fair, both sides matter here. From their view, they invested heavily. Private jets, studio sessions, videos, advances, the whole package. And the argument is that Finesse had access to all of it, used those resources, and now that the numbers aren't adding up, the blame is being redirected back at the label. This back and forth isn't new in hip-hop. One side says they didn't support me, while the other says we gave you everything. The truth usually sits somewhere in the middle, but figuring out exactly where it lands in this situation is what's got everyone debating right now. And then there's another layer people don't always factor in: the impact on the Mob Ties brand itself. In November 2022, Migos rapper Takeoff tragically lost his life during an incident at a gathering in Houston. J. Prince Jr. was present, and footage from that night started circulating online, raising a lot of questions. He wasn't accused of involvement, but the visuals alone sparked heavy reactions and ongoing conversations. So now look at the full picture. 2 projects, an album that didn't meet expectations, a label dealing with public image pressure, 4 years gone, and a 33-year-old Memphis artist starting to run out of patience. At some point, something had to give. And when 2026 hit, everything escalated. Finesse 2X jumped on social media and did something most artists would never risk, especially tied to a family with that level of influence. He spoke out publicly. No private negotiations, no quiet conversations, straight to the internet. He said it clearly. "Junior, I want out my contract. I don't want to be Mob Ties no more. I want my own stuff. Let me go." That wasn't subtle. That was direct and impossible to ignore. Then he laid it all out. 4 years, only 2 projects, and from his perspective, not seeing the results he expected. At 33, he made it clear he doesn't have time to sit around waiting. He wants movement, opportunity, and a setup where he actually benefits from his work. At first, some people brushed it off as emotion, but it didn't stop. More posts, more videos, and then came the moment that really grabbed attention. He got emotional on camera. This is someone known for being tough, serious, and intense, and now he's openly showing frustration, talking about feeling stuck. That kind of moment hit different because it didn't feel like promo, it felt real. He was speaking on being held back during a crucial point in his life and career, and that kind of honesty connected instantly. You can't fake that kind of emotion. He even said, "I can't be the quarterback and the wide receiver. You want me to throw the ball and catch it?" In other words, he's doing his part in the studio but feels like the label isn't matching that effort. Then he dropped a line that really made people pause. "It's not my fault they don't like you." That hinted at something deeper behind the scenes. From his view, he's dealing with the fallout of relationships he didn't create, and now he's stuck carrying that weight. And that might be the real issue here. If there's tension between Atlantic and mob ties, if the distribution relationship isn't solid, if playlist curators and radio contacts aren't fully backing the releases, then even great music can struggle to reach people. That's not about talent, that's about the system around the artist. And just when things couldn't get more intense, J. Prince Jr. responded. Not with interviews, not with a long explanation, just a short, calm, calculated message on social media. His words, Every day I see exactly why I'm me and why they're them. That short line might have been brief, but it carried serious weight and turned up the heat on an already tense situation. He broke it down real simple. Being real isn't about acting tough, flashing money, or flexing status. It's about your morals, your principles, your values, what you truly stand on. But then came the part that really had people talking. He basically said nothing's worse than someone who fumbled a big opportunity, couldn't bounce back, and now blames everybody else instead of owning it. No names were dropped, but let's be honest, the message didn't need them. It was clear enough for people to read between the lines. Direct, without being fully direct. And then things got even more interesting. Baby J, J. Prince Jr.'s younger brother, reposted that exact message. That move said everything. Unity, no confusion, no mixed signals. The whole circle standing on the same page. And trust, Finesse Sod caught that loud and clear. That's when it escalated. Instead of staying neutral, he fired back and made it personal. He claimed he's been around real mob ties and rap-a-lot figures in the streets, and that the respect comes from J. Prince Sr.'s legacy. But then he took it a step further, saying in his opinion, J. Prince Jr. doesn't command that same respect on his own. Yeah, that hit different. And he didn't stop there. He started bringing up personal choices, questioning how someone could judge him while making their own life decisions. At that point, this wasn't business talk anymore. It turned into a full-on challenge about reputation and credibility. Because let's be real, in certain circles, saying someone only holds weight because of their father's name, that's not a light statement. Once that's out in public, it's hard to walk it back or smooth things over. But Finesse kept pushing. He brought up Honeycomb Brazy, someone who had his own very public fallout with the Prince family, and pointed out how that situation eventually forced a different approach just to move forward. And the way Finesse framed it, it didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like a challenge, like he knows how these situations play out, and he's not backing down. Now, depending on how you see it, that's either bold confidence or a risky move. Maybe both. Right after that, the chatter started. Word began circulating that Finesse might be having trouble booking shows in Houston, a key market closely tied to the Prince family's influence. And if there's any truth to that, that's not just gossip, that's real money being affected. Because losing access to a major city, that hits income directly, especially at a time when every dollar matters. And if you're trying to restructure or get out of a deal, every opportunity counts. That's why this situation feels bigger than social media back and forth. This is business, long-term positioning. But here's what a lot of people aren't saying out loud. If you strip away the emotion and the online shots, there's a deeper issue here. Situations like this where expectations, contracts, and outcomes don't fully align have been happening in the industry for years. It's just not always explained clearly to the public. Then came the private jet situation. Finesse addressed it head-on. He basically said, "That jet you keep mentioning, I paid for it. I thought it was a genuine support at first, but when I saw the paperwork, it came out of my own money, so stop bringing it up." That moment, that hit home for a lot of artists. Because whether every detail lines up or not, that feeling, thinking something is a gift only to realize it's a business expense, that's not new in the industry. It's happened plenty of times. When you come from nothing and someone puts an opportunity in front of you, you're not thinking about contracts in that moment. You're thinking survival, growth, and making the most of your shot. To his credit, Finesse didn't dodge accountability either. He admitted it straight up. He's made mistakes, lost money, and could have moved smarter. No excuses there. But then he shifted the focus. For him, it was never just about money going up and down. It was about support, especially when it mattered most. He felt like when it was time for things to really move, when the system should have activated, it didn't. And from an artist's perspective, that's a serious concern. Money comes and goes, time doesn't. Spending years in a situation that feels stalled, that can cost you everything in a fast-moving industry. Now here's where things hit a breaking point. Once all of this went public, it stopped being a private contract issue. This turned into a full industry moment. Labels, artists, managers, everyone's watching closely now. Because Finesse isn't handling this quietly anymore. He's applying pressure in front of the world, and that changes everything. Now the label has to move carefully. Every step is being watched. But at the same time, going public like this is risky. Yeah, it brings attention, but it can also make future business relationships more complicated. Other labels might hesitate, not because of talent, but because of how public everything became. Still, from Finesse's side, it looks like he's reached that point, where staying quiet just doesn't make sense anymore. He's been holding this in for years, and now it's all coming out. Every post, every video, every statement. It's all part of him trying to take control. So now the big question is, what happens next? Because situations like this don't just disappear. Either something gets resolved behind the scenes, or this keeps escalating publicly. And if it does, it could shift more than just one career. Because let's not forget, Finesse built a real fan base, loyal. Even when he was away, the momentum didn't die. Back End went viral and proved people were still locked in. This isn't some unknown artist. That's why watching that kind of potential slow down because of contract issues while time keeps moving is tough, no matter who you side with. So who really holds the power right now? If we're being honest, it's J. Prince Jr. at this moment. That's just the reality. Finesse isn't walking away from that mob ties deal unless one of two things happens. Either Jr. lets him go, which seems less likely now after everything went public, or Finesse buys his way out. And he already laid out the plan. He's aiming to stack around $2 to $3 million to make that happen. That's not a small number. And look at the situation. If certain cities slow down bookings, that affects income. If contract terms limit releases, that impacts visibility. And with tension this high, negotiations don't get easier, they get harder. Speaking out brought attention, but it may have also raised the difficulty level of getting out clean. It's like being stuck. There are quiet ways to fix things and loud ways that bring pressure. Right now, everything's out in the open, and that makes the next move critical. That door might stay closed longer now. But let's zoom out for a second. This story is bigger than just Finesse 2X and J. Prince Jr. This taps into one of hip-hop's oldest patterns. Someone comes from nothing, no money, no leverage, no guidance, and suddenly opportunity shows up fast. Flights, new lifestyle, promises, belief. So what do? You sign. You sign because you're hungry, because you're grateful, because going back to nothing isn't an option. And in that moment, asking questions can feel uncomfortable, like you're doubting the very opportunity in front of you. Trust starts to matter more than paperwork. But this pattern, it's been happening for decades. From early artists losing control of their music to newer artists stepping into complex deals without fully understanding the long-term impact. Now, to be fair, this doesn't automatically make anyone the villain. The full story behind closed doors isn't public. Real money and time may have been invested, and from the other side, things might not have gone as planned. That matters too. But what stands out is this. Finesse came home with momentum, a unique voice, and strong backing. Everything was lining up. Now, 4 years later, instead of celebrating growth, he's publicly asking for out. Somewhere along the way, something went off track. And in situations like this, the person with the least leverage usually feels it the most. So where does this go? There are a few paths. First, he grinds his way out, stacking money through shows, features, merch, whatever it takes to eventually buy his freedom. He's proven he has the talent. Back End showed that. Second, things get handled quietly. A behind-the-scenes resolution where both sides move on and avoid dragging this out further. And third, the outcome nobody wants. Nothing changes. No deal, no resolution, just a holding pattern where time keeps passing and the spotlight slowly moves on. And that happens more than people think. That's the bigger lesson here. Because this isn't rare, it's just rarely this public. Any new artist watching this should be paying attention. This is real-time game with no filter. Before signing anything, you have to understand everything. Not just the upfront money or the lifestyle perks, but the long-term structure, the splits, the control, and what happens if things go left. Because once you're locked in, getting out isn't easy. At the same time, labels expect results, consistency, smart decisions. It's a two-way street. And when either side feels that balance is off, that's when everything starts falling apart. What makes this situation different is that both sides seem to be justified. One side feels like they invested and didn't get the return, the other feels like they delivered but didn't get the support needed to win. That disconnect? It can break any deal fast. And now everything's at a turning point. The next move, whether it's silence, business, or more public shots, could decide how this whole story gets remembered. Because in this industry, timing and decisions can build your future or slow it down just as fast. And if we're being real, Finesse has valid reasons to want his freedom. That frustration, it makes sense. But where things really shifted was when it got personal. Once comments about family legacy, lifestyle, and image came into play, it stopped being just business and turned into pride. And once pride enters the room, decisions stop being strategic and start becoming emotional. You can fix business issues, but pride battles, especially against people with more influence, more connections, and more patience, those are much harder to navigate. Finesse comes from Memphis, where resilience is everything. But the music industry, that's a different game. Different rules, different politics, different moves. And in this space, being real matters, but knowing how to move at the right time, in the right way, matters just as much.